Yeah, my name is Ganapati. I am at the Texas Tech Medical School in Lubbock. And today I thought actually that I will talk about some basic biochemistry of the citrate transporter. But we think actually that even though the information that I'm going to give may not be very exciting, but it might have actually a clinical relevance, not to the children suffering from SLC13A5 deficiency, but to their parents who are carriers for this citrate transporter defect. So today's talk is actually going to be about a drug called metformin. As you all know, that it is one of the most popular drugs now. Is being used actually for the type 2 diabetes, and also in fact is the first line of treatment for the type 2 diabetes, the metformin. But it is also gaining interest maybe because it shows actually efficacy against the cancer therapy. So for various types of cancers, metformin seems to be very effective. And not only that, people who have taken metformin seems to be actually even increase the lifespan. And therefore you can imagine that actually how popular the drug has become, the metformin. The metformin, of course, works as an anti-diabetic drug, primarily because it really inhibits a process in the liver called gluconeogenesis. Yeah, gluconeogenesis is a process where you take the precursors for the glucose and then reverse it the glycolysis and to make glucose. And therefore, the reactions which really participate in the conversion of either pyruvate or lactate or those things into the glucose, that process is called gluconeogenesis. And metformin has been shown to be an effective blocker of this process. And therefore, the liver is not able to synthesize glucose in between meals. And therefore, this decreases the blood glucose level, and of course, rationally, a very good drug for the treatment of the diabetes. But what we thought was that actually people forget the role of the citrate in the cytoplasm in the regulation of not only glycolysis, but also gluconeogenesis. This is a very typical data and the information that we give to the medical students when they come in the first year, that the citrate is a very important regulator of glycolysis and gluconeogenesis. And we are talking about the citrate in the cytoplasm, not in the citrate within the mitochondrial matrix. The citrate in the matrix has only one role, and that is to go through the TCA cycle to produce the energy. But the citrate in the cytoplasm has several roles. Number one, citrate present in the cytoplasm is the sole carbon source for the synthesis of fatty acid and the cholesterol. And the citrate present actually in the cytoplasm is a very potent inhibitor of this enzyme called the PFK1, called the phosphofructokinase 1, the most important rate-limiting enzyme in the breakdown of glucose. And therefore, the citrate actually inhibits the PFK1. That means actually it really prevents the glycolysis. And the citrate at the same time is a potent activator of the enzyme which reverses the reaction mediated by PFK1 called the fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase. So fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase is a gluconeogenic enzyme, and that the enzyme is actually activated by the citrate. And therefore, when we started this work, we thought if metformin is an inhibitor of gluconeogenesis, there are so many mechanisms proposed for this drug, not a single one. And therefore, can metformin treatment affect the cytoplasmic citrate by affecting the expression and the function of the plasma membrane SLC13A5? Now think about actually that if the metformin blocks this transport system, if it blocks the transport system, then you will reduce the citrate level inside the cytoplasm of the liver cell. When the citrate level goes down, then it will relieve the inhibition of the PFK1 and then promote actually the inhibition or the activity of that. And therefore, when the level of citrate goes down, PFK1 gets activated and the fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase gets inactivated. And therefore, when you decrease the level of citrate 1 in the cytoplasm, you can actually promote the glycolysis and inhibit the gluconeogenesis. A perfect way of reducing the blood glucose level. And therefore, these are all theoretical, that we thought one of the mechanisms of metformin as an anti-diabetic drug could be due to its effect on the plasma membrane citrate transporter, decrease the expression and the activity, and decrease the citrate level, and activate glycolysis and inhibit gluconeogenesis. With that biochemical rationale, we started the work. And therefore, we took these liver cells, and the liver cells, we culture them with a high glucose and low glucose, and you treat with the metformin. And when you do that, metformin does inhibit the activity of the citrate transporter. And this is the human liver cell line. And therefore, you can look at that actually specifically that it is the citrate transporter, because we can show lithium can stimulate the activity of this transport function. Interestingly, we do not find any effect of metformin in the liver cell when you culture them with a high glucose medium. High glucose means the concentration of the glucose in the medium is equivalent to a diabetic scenario, but the concentration of glucose is actually 20 millimolar, whereas in the normal plasma concentration is only 5 millimolar. And when you culture the liver cells with the 5 millimolar, the metformin does decrease the citrate uptake. And then we can also reproduce the data with another drug called the ICAR. And the ICAR produces the same effect which metformin does in the liver cell. Because one of the earliest mechanisms of metformin action is that it is an activator of an enzyme called the AMP kinase. And the ICAR is another pharmacological drug which can activate the same enzyme AMP kinase. And therefore, we can reproduce the data with the metformin with this compound ICAR. Interestingly, the ICAR can reduce the citrate uptake activity in the liver cell, whether you culture the cells with a high glucose or with a low glucose. And therefore, we find that actually metformin can decrease the activity of the citrate transporter. And then we looked at actually whether the metformin treatment is necessary for the liver cell, or the metformin has its direct effect on the transporter like the Pfizer compound does. And we looked at that metformin, when you add during the uptake, does not do anything to the transport function. Therefore, the transporter is not directly affected at the protein level by metformin. You need to treat the cells for almost like 16 to 24 hours before you can see the effect on citrate uptake. And this is actually the reversal of the experiment. Metformin is an activator of the AMP kinase, and this is a pharmacological compound which can inhibit the AMP kinase, and you get the opposite effect. That you treat the cells, the liver cells, with the metformin, you decrease the activity of the citrate transporter. You treat the cells with the AMP kinase inhibitor, you see an increase in the transport activity, showing that AMP kinase might be one of the mediators of the metformin effect in the liver cell. And this is just the kinetic data, and this is the control uptake. And this is actually the metformin treated cell. And you can see that there is a decrease in the activity of the citrate transporter. And then what is affected is the maximal velocity, not the Michaelis or the affinity of the transporter for citrate. And this is one of the indications that the metformin treatment in the liver cell might reduce the protein level in the plasma membrane for SLC13A5. Because when the protein density goes down in the plasma membrane, then the maximal velocity goes down without affecting the interaction of the remaining transporter with the citrate. So no change in the Km, but a decrease in the Vmax indicate that the protein density in the liver cell membrane might be down in response to the metformin treatment. And this is what we looked at. So you treat the cells actually with the ICAR and metformin, and now look at actually the mRNA level and see whether the mRNA level is affected, whether the expression of the citrate transporter is affected. And our data show that ICAR and metformin decreased the mRNA level in the liver cell for SLC13A5. And this happens whether you culture the cells with the 20 millimolar glucose or the 5 millimolar glucose, you see the same effect. Now the AMP kinase, when you activate, it inhibits actually the downstream signal called the mTOR. And therefore, whenever you treat the cells with the metformin, AMP kinase gets activated, but the mTOR activity goes down. If the mTOR activity goes down, does it play a role in our observation that metformin treated decreased the expression of SLC13A5? How do we prove that? You take another pharmacological agent which can inhibit mTOR directly. And we used the drug called rapamycin. Rapamycin is an mTOR inhibitor. Now you take the liver cell, treat with the rapamycin, you get the same effect that you got with the metformin as well as the ICAR. And therefore, definitely the AMP kinase and the mTOR signaling pathway seems to be involved in the downregulation of SLC13A5 expression in the liver cell. And this is the evidence of the mTOR involvement. mTOR gets phosphorylated when you treat the cells with the metformin and the ICAR. In general, when people study the phosphorylation of the mTOR, they take it as a kind of evidence that mTOR gets activated. But it depends upon what type of actually phosphorylation occurs, which particular amino acid residue gets phosphorylated, that has a differential effect whether the mTOR is activated or inhibited. And therefore, the residue that we looked at here is the residue when it is phosphorylated, mTOR activity goes down. And therefore, when AMP kinase is activated with the metformin or ICAR, that AMP kinase phosphorylates the mTOR on certain specific residues, resulting in a decrease in the activity of the mTOR. And the mTOR, when it's actually inhibited, then it goes downstream another protein called the CREB, and the CREB is the cyclic AMP response to element binding protein, which is a transcription factor, and that one is known to induce the expression of SLC13A5. So what we find is the liver cell treated with the ICAR and metformin, that phospho-CREB activity goes down. Therefore, this transcription factor is supposed to induce the expression of SLC13A5. The liver cell exposed to ICAR and metformin, it decreases the activity of the transcription factor, and thereby it provides the biochemical basis for decreased expression of SLC13A5 in the liver cell. And this one shows actually the intracellular citrate level goes down in the liver cell when you treat the cells with the ICAR and the metformin, whether it's a high glucose or the low glucose, showing that the decreased expression of SLC13A5 does really lead to a decreased concentration of citrate inside the cell. As I told you, the metformin is widely used as an anti-diabetic drug, but there is not a single particular mechanism ascribed to the mechanism of action of metformin as an anti-diabetic drug. The first one was actually it is an AMP kinase activator. The second one they showed it inhibits the electron transport chain. And because of that, it increases the AMP level, which can activate AMP kinase. Recently, they found it also inhibits actually a process in the mitochondria called the alpha-glycerophosphate shuttle. And by inhibiting the alpha-glycerophosphate shuttle, it can prevent the conversion of the gluconeogenic precursors into the glucose via gluconeogenesis. And therefore, what we are telling is actually the mechanism of metformin is evolving almost on a yearly basis. Now, it doesn't mean the original finding AMP kinase was activated is wrong. All they are doing is finding new mechanisms of the metformin, but the ultimate effect is the same. It inhibits gluconeogenesis. There is no question about that. And what we have found is that another mechanism for metformin as an anti-diabetic drug, it decreases the expression of SLC13A5 in the liver cell at the transcription level. And because of that, extracellular citrate cannot be transported into the liver cell. When the cytoplasmic citrate level goes down, it promotes the glycolysis and inhibits the gluconeogenesis and thereby decrease the glucose production. And therefore, we think actually that we found a new mechanism for the anti-diabetic effect of metformin, and that really relates to the SLC13A5 being a direct target for the metformin. Now, all these things are fine because we already know that when SLC13A5 is knocked out in the mouse, they are resistant to diabetes. And that's because SLC13A5 inside the cell is actually promoting the glucose production. And therefore, when you knock out the SLC13A5, the citrate level goes down in the liver cell and it prevents the gluconeogenesis. And therefore, it helps very well as a kind of blocking or reducing the risk of diabetes. But what we want to know is metformin does not act just on the liver. Metformin has been to cross the blood-brain barrier. So what will happen to the people who are taking metformin chronically, either for the treatment of diabetes or for the cancer treatment? Whether the metformin will cross the blood-brain barrier and acts on the neurons and decrease the expression of SLC13A5 in the brain. Now, reducing the expression of SLC13A5 in the liver has a beneficial effect. How about decreasing the SLC13A5 in the brain, in the neuron? What kind of detrimental effects that it could have in people who are taking the drug chronically? This may be particularly relevant for the carriers of the mutation, where there is already a 50% decrease in the activity of SLC13A5 in the brain in moms and dads of the children affected by these SLC13A5 mutations. What if they take chronically metformin for diabetes or for cancer treatment? Would it precipitate the same effect of metabolic complication that you see in the homozygous mutations in the children? And that is also true not only for epilepsy and other aspects of complications, even for Alzheimer's disease. Mainly because SLC13A5 in the neuron modifies the citrate level in the cytoplasm. People forget that the citrate in the cytoplasm of the neuron is the sole carbon source for acetylcholine biosynthesis. Therefore, when the level of citrate goes down in the cytoplasm, would it actually reduce this neurotransmitter acetylcholine, one of the very important neurotransmitters for Alzheimer's disease? And therefore, we just want to put this out in the public. And this paper is actually under revision in a journal Scientific Reports. But the idea is that metformin's negative effect on SLC13A5 might go beyond liver. It can also affect actually in the brain, raising the possibility that the chronic use of metformin might have detrimental effects in the brain. And that's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.